Hi, Rex Bolt again. Section 2. Writing the darn thing. Writing the novel. The specifics of what you need to do to write it, as opposed to being motivated to write it. This is kind of a little more of the nuts and bolts here. First thing you want to determine before you start writing your first novel, at least if your intent is to put it on Amazon Kindle, again, which I'd recommend because it's instant, it's free, you have a worldwide audience, there's no qualifying, nothing. And again, as I've demonstrated in a previous video, your page on there looks just like John Grisham's or Stephen King's or James Patterson's or anybody else. It's all the same. You're an equal. But you first want to determine, if you haven't started it and you're not sure even what to write, consider this a little bit. You want to decide, is your goal to make money? And that's important. Because you might have a goal to make money and you still might not successfully make money, even if you pursue it that way and gear everything to that. But is your goal to make money? What I'm getting at is there are specific types of fiction genres that do well on Amazon for the top people, and there's a lot of areas that don't do well at all. So if you want to write historical fiction and you're trying to make money, probably forget that. Literary fiction, something that might win an award, where a literary magazine might give you some sort of accolade, and in the old days, something that was reviewed in the New York Times favorably, something that maybe you think might be studied in a literature class in 50 years if it's a great piece of work. That stuff's not going to do well on Amazon. You're not going to make money with that stuff on Amazon. Same with short stories. Forget that. You write a book of short stories, stick them on Amazon. God bless you. That's good. But if you're trying to make money, no. And so there's two ways to look at this. I mean, you write what you want to write, whether it fits the top selling genres or not, or whether it's an off category that's just realistically not going to sell many copies. That might be good enough. Just to write what you want. You've got your first book out there. You've got friends. You've got family. All you got to do is provide a link to it to people. And you have a worldwide presence. But the reality of it is, typical Amazon readers are not going to be interested in reading them. They're not going to buy your book. And the other point is, you can hard print your books. We're mainly discussing ebooks in this course. Those are simple. Those cater to the Amazon formula perfectly. But Amazon will sell your hard copies, and it's easy to make the hard copies. And if you use one of Amazon's services, believe it or not, it costs nothing to make your hard copies. It's all on demand. If you do it right, and you do it kind of resourcefully, the only time there's any money changing hands is when somebody buys a copy and then Amazon prints it on demand and then gives you a small percentage of that. But there's no to write a novel and print it up using Amazon service, which used to be called CreateSpace, and now I think it's just switched over to something else. But it's their own in-house service. To do that, there are no upfront fees. There are no minimum orders, nothing. You just produce the book. They put it on Amazon. They list it. If it sells, then Amazon gets the bulk of the price. So if it sells for $12.95, Amazon might get, $8 or $9. You might get $3. You don't get a lot out of it. But you didn't have to do anything. You don't have to spend any money. There's no commitment at all. So that's very enticing. But the reality of it is 95% of your sales are going to come through ebooks. I resisted this myself. The first few books, I made sure I made hard copies, and I promoted them, and I handed them out, and this and that. But the reality is the Amazon readers typically, whether they have an actual Kindle device or not, they have a way, they have some method, even on their phone, where they can read the book immediately, and they want that immediate gratification. They like it. They're used to reading the Kindle stuff. They don't want to wait for something to arrive in the mail, etc. So that's a secondary issue. What we're teaching here is essentially how to produce the book and turn it into an ebook, which is basically happens overnight. But to kind of get to the bottom line on this, my advice is if you've never written a novel, and this is your first effort, I wouldn't worry about any long-term strategy. I wouldn't think about genres. I wouldn't think about the fact that, if I try to pigeonhole my book into a certain genre, that's not a top-selling genre. That's something that doesn't work well, etc. The chances are I won't make any sales. Don't worry about that. What you want to do here is get the first book out there and written. And obviously it's the easiest book to write is one that, is close to your heart, that you feel good about. So you don't want to force it. You don't want to say, dystopian science fiction does well, I'm going to try to write one of those, even though you really want to write about, some guy in a small town that finds a box on the street and doesn't know what's in there and has trouble with his wife at home. Something that really doesn't fit any of the top categories, just a story. You just want to write a story. That'd be my recommendation. But we're going to go a little more into the genre stuff if you're so inclined in the next couple of videos. Okay.